Yeah, so obviously for this week's main topic, we were out at the Walt Disney World Resort all last weekend, over Labor Day weekend, for several things, but mostly for Destination D23, our second trip to Destination D23. Of course, we went back in 2023 to Destination D23. This is the 2025 version, and we're going to talk about not everything because there's so much to talk about, but a lot of the stuff we experienced over the weekend.
Yeah, it's a super fun event, and we're happy to be able to share what that's like in case you ever are considering it.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll tell you about everything that we experienced, and yes, get you set if you were thinking about going, because it will probably be back, not officially announced yet, but likely it'll be back at the Walt Disney World Resort in 2027. So we'll talk about that as well. And we have a few other things that we experienced outside of that, including Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And yes, we did get to check out the Beak Barrel too. So we'll tell you about that. And we're going to kind of go in chronological order how we did this. So it all started on Friday, August 29th. We got up in the morning, packed up our stuff, headed out to the Walt Disney World Resort, right to our resort stay at Bay Lake Towers. Of course, our room wasn't ready yet, although as soon as we left, as always happens, as soon as we actually leave the complex, then our room was ready.
Right.
And headed over to where this year's event was taking place at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. When we were there in 2023, it was actually at the Contemporary, which was extremely convenient. This was not as convenient for us, but it still worked out better than maybe we thought, because we had to do some different things to work around parking, because they were not allowing you to stay at the to park at Coronado Springs, right, Michelle?
Right. And we had gotten the notification in advance. And like you said, at first it didn't sound like it was going to be as smooth as one would hope, but actually it really was. So what they did was they had you park over at the ESPN Sports Complex, and then they had buses taking you over to Coronado Springs Resort. And the buses were running very promptly and quickly. I mean, I don't think we ever waited for even 5 minutes from once we got on the bus to when we were actually on the way to the resort. And it was pretty close. With I think I timed it was like 9 minutes to get there from the sports complex. So it was very smooth. I thought it would be a little bit more clunky or delays, but no.
Yeah, we worked around a couple other things that we'll be discussing here as far as transportation. But from the ESPN Wild World Sports Complex to Coronado Springs and back, at least from what we experienced, it was very smooth and much more went more smoothly than we, I think, expected going into it.
Right. I mean, they were saying buses every 10 to 15 minutes, but like I said, when we parked, there was a bus waiting. When we got out of the Coronado Springs, there was a bus waiting. So it was fast.
And they're the comfy buses and
Yeah.
great air conditioning. It was perfect. It worked out very, very well for us. So yes, we arrived at Destination D23 at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. Got there, checked in. We had ordered some pins ahead of time. The line was like super long for that, so we ended up getting those later in the week. We did go and get our gift, because part of this that you receive, and we received this back in 2023 as well. Then we received a lug backpack. This time we received a really nice lug kind of shoulder bag that could be a garment bag, or it could be used for a lot of different things. It could be used for work. It could be used for travel, lots of different stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's all very, plush, soft sided, puffy, and had lots of pockets, lots of zippered areas too. So you could separate your things and know where to find them easily.
Right. And speaking of things, within it, there were several things, including there were some pins, there were some Lorcana cards, there was a Phineas and Ferb poster, which we were really excited about, and a few other things, as well as some coupons that if you visited, because they're trying to, these are sponsors, they want to sell a few things while we're there. If you went by their booth, showed them their coupon or whatever, they would give you a pin or something else when you were there as well.
Yeah, and these pins that you got, whether it was in the bag or you'd go to certain booths to get them. They were, definitely themed to Destination D23 and or limited edition
Yeah, and a
pins.
lot of them were really, really nice pins.
Yeah.
We're really excited to get
Hmm.
them. So, and we did get all our pins while we were there. We went and got a little lunch because it was our shopping window. You could pre-book your shopping. Now you could shop the entire time you were there.
On Saturday and Sunday.
On Saturday and Sunday. I mean, you could that day too, but you may have had to come back and wait and queue up and for when they felt like they had enough room to let you in. We saw people queuing up to go in. But when you had your shopping window, you could just walk pretty much right into these different shopping experiences. There are 4 different shopping areas. We checked almost all of them out, but our favorite place that we went to, where we only actually found really good stuff that we wanted anyway, was at Mickey's of Glendale, which has a lot of kind of Imagineering pieces. They had stuff from Muppet Studio there. I think we picked up what shirts did you get? I'm trying to remember what shirts you got. We picked up a couple shirts
Right.
each.
I actually got one that was for the Destiny that has the Haunted Mansion from the Haunted Mansion
The
Lounge.
parlor,
The
yeah,
par
and the
yeah,
treasure too.
the
Yes, yes.
treasure, right. I got that shirt and I'm spacing on what the other one
Yeah.
was.
Did you get the orange bird shirt as well? I got the
No.
orange bird shirt that had an embroidered orange bird face on the front. It was really, really cute, green with an orange bird face on the front. Really, really cute. And then I got a 3/4 sleeve Walt Disney Imagineering shirt, which I can wear for about 2 weeks out of the year outside here in Florida, but I will be able to wear it around our house. But it's a really, really nice shirt, and I'm looking forward to being able to wear that.
Right,
And they
yeah.
were great deals. Like those shirts were going for $29.99 or less
You're
for
right, yeah.
those shirts specifically, which is a steal for any Disney t-shirt.
Right.
If you can find a Disney t-shirt for $29.99, that is a deal, especially something that's like a 3/4 length shirt, short
Right. Yeah,
sleeve shirt.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And like you mentioned, they had multiple stores that you could go into, and each one had different types of merchandise that they were selling. And but like you said, this one was the one that attracted us more in terms of what sort of things they had. But if you were like a collector of certain art pieces or artwork or whatever, they did have areas there that you could go there, and some of them had the artist there or had scheduled times where the artist would be there on the weekend.
Yeah, there were a few books, including some signing periods for those books from the authors and some other things. And that's what we experienced the last time we were
Mhm.
there as well. So, uh, shopping experience, I'm not going to say it was my favorite thing, but I'm also not a shopper per se. But we did walk away with some great deals, and I was pretty happy with our
Right.
shopping experience.
I mean, for people who are considering going to this, one of the things that we would give you as a tip is you're actually going into a queue first to get your armband that you can go in during your designated or reserved shopping time. That queue starts lining up early. Because everybody is coming in that day and they're anxious to go in and go there. And that is the day that only attendees can shop. On the
There actually were some apparent ability for people outside who were good D23 Gold members. Even if you didn't have a pass, you could have signed up and got a
You could
window
pay
as
for it,
well.
but that
Right.
was
You
on
had to pay for it. Yeah.
for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, I thought that was for Friday
I
as
don't
well.
believe so. I think
Hmm.
Friday was only for but anyways, if you were attending, you would know that, you would get the notifications of that. But that's one thing that I, realized that we got in line, I think like 45 minutes ahead of time and there were people in front of us.
Yeah.
And then you go into another holding area and you wait until your actual time starts. So it's not um so you got to figure in some extra buffer time when your scheduled time is to actually start getting into the queue for that.
Right. And Mickey's of Glendale, we also had to, even though we had our window, we did have to queue up inside there as well, because that was by far the most popular store. A reason why we got stuff there is because it was by far the most popular store. So we did have to queue up a little bit there. But anyway, shopping experience, when it's all said and done, we got some cool things. We didn't, at least we didn't break the bank with everything that we didn't walk away with a crazy amount of stuff, and there was lots of other stuff. There was something pretty much for everybody there, that if you're looking to shop, I think you could have found
Mhm.
something you would have liked. But that was pretty much it. Getting our gifts, doing our shopping. That was it for Destination D23 on that day. However, good news is we had something else planned. We headed back to our resort again, easy transportation, bus back to ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, back to Bay Lake Towers in our car. And then we had to change because we were off to Mickey's. I also said Mickey Very Merry
Yeah.
Halloween Party. Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party.
Yes, and we actually went in some, I guess you call them costume because it was a little bit beyond bounding, but yeah, we were ready to go. We knew the weather was going to be pretty hot, being this time of the year. It was still August, and so we went with some lightweight clothing items that we were able to pull off a costume.
Right. So we bounded, or a little more than bounded, because there was costume elements of our outfits, as Judy Hopps for Michelle and Nick Wilde for me. And we did receive compliments on it
Yeah,
throughout the night.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was fun. And we did get some pictures out there while we were out there. And it was fun. This is our first time going to Not So Scary. We've done other Halloween part. We've done Oogie Boogie Bash. We've done Halloween on the High Seas and Disney Cruise Line. But this was our first time getting the chance to experience this Halloween party out at the Walt Disney World Resort. And for those of you who are seeing us on YouTube, you can see our outfits here on our pictures that we take. We one of the things that we decided to do was, I mean, the character, trying to meet a lot of the characters, the waits were a little longer than we would have liked, and so we didn't really do that. Excuse me, but we did go out there and get a lot of pictures, especially early on before the party really got underway, to get some cute pictures in our outfits.
Yeah, they had a lot of great photo op locations that they had PhotoPass photographers there as well, so that really made it nice. And I mean, I do know that some of these characters that you could do for the meet and greet are beloved characters that you might not ever see other times, or even with Mickey and Minnie, the fact that they were together this time.
And in their Halloween outfits
In their
as well.
Halloween outfits, yeah, I could see where it was something that a lot of people would go to because, if you were getting there early before the party started, you couldn't do those photo ops, but you could start doing some attractions and then, maybe spend more time for those lines. I could see
Yeah,
why
there's a
people did
lot of
it.
different ways. Like most of these parties, that you can approach it. If you want to get photos, if you want to get photos with characters, yes, you could do that. If you want to try and hit up the rides, which do have lower wait times than normal, you could do that. And there's all sorts of other things. The specialty foods that they have for the events, the trick or treating for this, which we took advantage of significantly for this, and then just taking in the vibe. There's the parades, there's the nighttime spectacular. We'll get into all of that, but we decided early on to take some pictures and then take in the vibes and take in some of the food. We did experience not a lot of the food, but some of the foods. We went over to Pecos Bill's Tall Tales Inn first thing, and we got the masa flatbread with what was it, roasted corn, and
Right.
it was really
It
good.
was
I think we were
delicious.
really big fans of that savory food that we had to experience.
Right. Other than one dish, all the food that we ate were food items that were only offered during the party. So it's not during the regular Halloween season in the restaurants that we tried. So
Yeah, the one item that you said that we tried was the pumpkin sundae. The was it pumpkin spice
right,
sundae or whatever it is, pumpkin ice cream, pumpkin spice,
right.
which was really good. But you can get that, as you said, at other
Hmm.
times. You don't. That's just not a party specific food.
Right, right.
But it really hit at a nice spot in the evening for us. We were a little hot. We'd already done some walking around. We're like, let's sit down and have they were starting some of the parade stuff. The first round of the parade. We did get to see the head of this horseman come by. They had a special thing with Max doing stand out and
Right.
eye to eye, going down Main Street USA while we were enjoying a little of this ice cream.
Yeah, it was a fun, just happenstance time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we kind of went around and just took on. I mean, we did a couple of attractions. Michelle, you did the Mad Tea Party,
Hmm.
which was kind of an overlay for Halloween, which is really cool. You did it. I'm not spinning. I watched from the outside, but I think we both enjoyed it in our different ways.
Yeah, yeah, I loved it. It was, that they had kind of more eerie music and the light show. It was so funny. It was just so simple, but it did elevate the experience.
Yeah. So we did that. We went and did some trick or treating. The other attraction we went on is because, well, we're in Magic Kingdom. We got to do the People Mover. So we did the People Mover, but pretty much just kind of walked around, did a lot of trick or treating, got a lot of candy. Like we got a full backpack full of candy. I mean, we got so much candy, and just took it all in. We saw some of the characters that were around. We saw Mother Gothel. I know that was a big thing that she was coming this year, and she did not disappoint at all. She
Right.
was greeting guests as you were walking in, and she was Mother Gothel. It was as it's the snarky Mother Gothel. She was perfect. Also saw the Hitchhiking Ghosts, saw the Cadaver Dans perform. Just it was a really really cool vibe for Halloween,
Yeah.
especially not so scary Halloween.
Right, and they're all over, the park, so you do get to have that experience, and, a lot of times, like with Mother Gothel, she's interacting with guests as they're walking through, so, yeah,
Yeah.
totally fun.
As far as the photos with characters, again, they were various wait times for different ones. Some of the more popular ones, you mentioned Mickey and Minnie was pretty long. If you wanted to get a character photo with Jack Skellington and Sally, that was really, really long. The other one that I saw that was really, really long, but I really would have loved to do it, but we couldn't, was Winnie the Pooh and his friends all decked out in their Halloween costumes, which was adorable. I really would have loved to do it, but we walked up to it and they're like, how long is the wait time? I was like, oh, that's 2 hours from this
yeah.
point. We're like, okay, we're not taking 2 hours of a party to wait for
Right.
that, as much as we would have loved that photo.
Right, and that wasn't even at the beginning of the party, that we had been there for a little
Yeah.
while, so, yeah.
So instead, we, like I said, took in the vibes and we did take in the nighttime spectacular, which I'd never seen before outside of, we'd seen it from a distance.
Mhm.
We've been there when the parties have been going on, but never within the park. And especially when you're within the park, checking out the Jack Skellington puppet they have that is kind of the MC of the nighttime spectacular. It's a phenomenal puppet.
Right, it's a life-size puppet, and
At least it looks life size from where
Right.
I don't know if you're next to it, if it is, but the
Right.
close perspective, it definitely is.
Right, yeah, I mean, it's not like a tiny puppet, I should say. He's really kinda emceeing the experience that you're at, and, it is amazing. I always rave about puppetry that Disney uses in their shows and things, and this was a hit.
Yeah. Big time hit. I was a fan. I was right off the bat. As soon as he walked out, I'm like, oh my goodness, that is so good. That is a great it looks like Jack Skellington's
Yes,
because he was.
Yes.
He was on the stage. And then the nighttime spectacular was phenomenal. Great spooky music, a little bit of villains, a little bit of Mickey and friends going through a haunted house, all with the great projections and fireworks. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's definitely a story there that they're telling as the show is going on.
Yeah. So really, really enjoyed that. And then of course we needed to get out and we went to go actually see Boo to You, which we've seen video of a little bit. We've never experienced for ourselves. So we wanted to check that out. We went to the later version of it. They do have two parades throughout the night. We went to the later version of it, of course, saw the Headless Horseman because it's not Halloween if you're not checking out the
Right.
Headless Horseman going on there. And of course the pooper scooper guy who follows the horse, who always gets the biggest cheers, I
Right.
think, of the entire night as he's going around the parade route. But then Boo to You Parade, which is a bop. The song is so good. It'll get stuck in your head all night. But the parade is phenomenal. So many amazing characters, both popular Disney characters and, of course, villains. It's great, right, Michelle?
Totally great. Yeah, and it definitely hits the theme of the party, right? Because Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and that's what this is. It has, like you said, some villains and other characters dressed in Halloween, but it isn't scary. It is just full of fun and joy.
Yeah. Really, really got a kick out of that parade. It was just so much fun, for sure. But it got late that night. We did actually stop and get some more food. We got the mini corn dogs over from Casey's. It was the only place I think that was still open, really, besides for like some snack places around. We got the mini corn dogs that had like a chipotle braised beef on the top of it and some roasted corn and stuff. That I really liked. I would have got, and we got some fries on the side. So I got to there. They also have it like fries, like loaded fries with that on there as well. I got to take a little bit of the extra meat and put it on the fries. So I got to experience both. But I really loved that dish.
Yeah, it really was good. It was very tasty.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we got to and then it was really, really late, and we had to get up
right? We were walking out at midnight.
very, very early. Luckily, we were at Bay Lake Towers within walking distance. So we headed back to our rooms, got to our rooms. I don't know. It was 12:30, 1 a.m. I think by the time we got to bed. And then we needed to get up very, very early the next morning to actually get out to the events at Destination D23, the first day for the panels at Destination D23. Now, knowing the way the traffic, one, we knew here's the thing about Destination D23 that's not the same as the D23 Expo. Um, yes, you are absolutely going to get a seat inside. Everybody who has a ticket to this event is going to get a seat inside. However, that does not guarantee you a really, really good seat. As a matter of fact, there were some obstructed view seats that were around as well. So we decided, I was up as usual, the earliest. I could get moving the earliest. Michelle was making us some lunch and stuff to bring with us as well. So I decided to ride share over, and then Michelle drove the car over to the ESPN complex, so we'd have the car to leave at the end of the night, and that worked out really well. I was able to get over there before 7:30, headed in. They queued us up outside, and then we went right into the hall right about 7:30, and then I could find seats, which is always something special because we need to make sure. Well, Michelle is vertically challenged. We need to find her a seat where she can actually see something besides the back of somebody's head. But I think we accomplished that pretty well with this strategy of getting there. And yes, we paid a little bit of money. It was only like $10 for the ride share with tip and everything to get there. And it worked out perfectly for us to accomplish both ends of the travel to and from the event.
Right. Yeah. I think the takeaway there is if you're not going to ride share, is to, plan to get there earlier, because even though the event does not officially start until 9, like Tom said, they are getting people in the room in advance of that, and those seats are going quickly.
And of course, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're just happy to be in the hall, then great. You can show up, as much as 5 minutes before everything starts, and you're fine. But if you're looking to get the better seats, the earlier you get there, the better. So just for future reference of what you might want to do going forward.
Oh my. He's probably hungry because he didn't eat much dinner last night. In fact, he even asked for more dinner, but
what can you do? So just for future reference of what you might want to do going forward. So yes, got in there, and wow, it started off with an amazing medley right out the beginning. I think it kicked off I'm going to say this right up front. There was a lot that we picked into this weekend. So if we get things not exactly tied into the right panel, or we forget some things, or don't get things exactly right, we try and pride ourselves in trying to get things as right as possible. But there could be some mashing up of a few things here. But from what I remember, there's Susan Egan, the first bell on Broadway, opening up the conference by singing "When You Wish Upon a Star" right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a show that, like you said, she kicked it off, and then other Broadway singers joined her, and as well as the princesses, and it was not like a 5-minute show. This went on and on. It was so spectacular. I thought, wow, what an impressive way to start this experience for people.
Yes, she was joined by some of the performers that we remember from our 80s, 90s concert that we saw on the DVC member cruise. If you haven't heard of that episode, go back a few weeks. We talked about this a little bit, but I'll go through some of the names of the people just to remind you of who they were. Nasha Thomas, Alyssa Guzman, Adam Levy, Bradley Gibson, and this added to this event that wasn't on the DVC member cruise was Alyssa Fox as well, who has been a standby on Broadway for Elphaba in Wicked and for Elsa in Frozen, and she was amazing as well. But they went and performed various Disney numbers, and yes, if you're looking on YouTube, you can see they had all the princesses come out on stage, and it was amazing and a heck of a way to kick off what we knew was going to be a phenomenal event.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, and then after that, out came, just Disney legend Jodi Benson, who is going to be kind of our pseudo host for much of the weekend in many ways. She came out and welcomed us all and kind of kicked it off with what would be our next thing, which was the Walt Disney Studios showcase with Yvette Nicole Brown, big Disney fan and favorite of ours, who kind of led us through a lot of the stuff that's coming to the Walt Disney Studios over the next months and years.
Right. Now, just want to interject here. Unlike things like Comic-Con. This, as Tom said, everybody gets a seat because everything is happening in one room. You're not going
Mhm.
other than like shopping or whatever, but for the presentations, it's all happening in one room, and it's just one thing after another. There's really no break. There's no question and answer period or anything like that. It's just a very smooth transition of here's one part of the show. Now we're going into the next panel.
Right. I mean, there are a couple breaks. There's
Well, yeah,
there's like two 15-minute breaks and a 2-hour lunch window
right.
in
But
there.
I'm just
So
saying there's not a
as
lot
far
of break in between. Like they're not emptying the room or
and then
anything like
coming back in or
right. Yeah.
requeuing or anything like
Right.
that.
You're
No,
just
except for those
staying.
breaks that I mentioned. Yeah, it's going panel to panel to panel to panel, and yes, it's all in one room. So, and you could, if you want to, you could, this panel doesn't really interest me. I'm going to go do some shopping,
Right.
or I'm going to go grab a bite before lunch because it's going to be crowded out there for lunch, which it was. Which I'm glad Michelle packs us lunch every day, so we have to deal with that. But there were lots of food options, by the way, that if you were looking to get food, but that's neither here nor there. The Walt Disney Studios showcase, we did see a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. I'm going to hit on a couple of the key things that I think we saw that we were really interested in. We did get a peek at Toy Story 5. They confirmed that the entire main cast that that you love are coming back. We also learned that Conan O'Brien, we already kind of knew this. He's playing a character called Smarty Pants, but we actually got to see what Smarty Pants is, which is kind of a toilet training app. Really
So
interesting.
funny.
And then they actually showed us like an entire 3-minute clip of like the opening sequence of this film that's coming out here. And I don't know about you, Michelle, but that opening sequence was so good.
Yeah, it really drew you in. I mean, it was
I'm
amazing.
not going to give you any spoilers on what that was because you may not want to. And by the way, we're gonna stay relatively spoiler free on this. If there's anything that I feel is spoilery, I'll mention it before we say anything. But go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah. No, and I was just going to say, I mean, we do have some pictures of things, but I do want to point out that they did restrict videotaping and things like that. So, and they were very, very much watching for that.
Mhm.
So, I guess the good thing is they didn't take away any devices or make us pack anything, but they were monitoring. They had people roaming and watching to see that people weren't going to be videotaping, especially in this segment, some of the films.
As a
were
matter of
showing.
fact, I got called out for taking a picture of something that, by the way, was allowed.
I know.
But they I don't know, the person, I don't know, he was thinking it was a video portion or
Right.
something. You weren't supposed to take any video or pictures of any of the video areas. I know some people did, but
Yeah.
and I knew that, and
Yeah.
I still got yelled at. So,
I know.
so there may be some pictures that maybe I was gonna put in here that I was
Right.
a little hesitant to do until enough people around me were taking pictures. I'm like, okay, I don't care anymore. I'm taking pictures because I know we can.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so Toy Story 5, think about whatever you want about Toy Story 4, and I don't know what Toy Story 5 is going to be like, but that opening sequence was really, really good. Enjoyed it. Also, we got a glimpse into Hoppers, which is another Pixar movie coming soon, which is basically, it's kind of where this young girl is going to get her, this is what the synopsis is. Young girl finds out that there's this technology that she can put her consciousness
Right.
basically in a robotic beaver. It's nothing like Avatar,
know,
as
they
they'll
can-
tell you, even though it sounds very much like Avatar.
Even in the film,
They make jokes about it.
make jokes about that.
But we got to see several clips of that, and we got to meet some of the cast, including Piper Curda, who plays Mabel, the main character, and Bobby Moynihan. You may remember him from Saturday Night Live, who plays King George. We also learned that John Hamm is playing character Mayor Jerry, a human character within it. And we got many, many clips of that, and it looks great too.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks like these characters have a lot of depth to them that you don't notice when you first see them. And I think there's going to be a lot of messages that also come through in that in what this film is about. It looks adorable though too.
It looks great. I'm excited for that movie, very much
Yes.
so. Moving out of Pixar, in live action, we did see an extended clip from Tron Ares. Now, the synopsis for Tron Ares, and this may be a little bit of a spoiler. Basically, it's Tron comes to our world rather than we're going into Tron, into the computer, into the CPU. It's coming into this world, and we saw an extended, exciting, gripping clip that I don't know if the whole movie is going to be like that, but I like that clip very much.
Yeah, it really was pretty incredible to watch. And it's not going to be much longer till it comes out. And I don't know if you were planning to talk about this, but in celebration of that, they are going to be changing some of the colors on the Tron attractions, both in Walt Disney World and Shanghai, with bringing in that red color scheme that's going to be predominant in this film.
Yeah, I think that was our first park announcement was
Mhm.
during this panel when they said, yeah, I believe it's like September 12th or 15th or something like that. So
Yeah,
it's
something like,
just
yeah.
within a week or two of this that they're going to be doing that. And they're going to be playing the soundtrack, which is done by Nine Inch Nails
Yeah.
for this movie as well, if you're on the attraction. So you have that to look forward to if you're heading out to Walt Disney World, specifically Magic Kingdom. Or is it Shanghai? Where is it? In
Shanghai.
Shanghai, yeah.
Mhm.
If you're heading out there, because they're going to doing it at Shanghai as well.
Yes.
So, and we also got a look at, I think this trailer's already been released, so we weren't the first to see it, but a trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash, and learned a little bit more about that, and excited for this film.
Yeah.
Again, another Avatar movie, you're going to need to see that on the big screen because
Right.
it looks
Yeah.
spectacular, as all the Avatar movies do.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look like it continues the theming of the prior ones, and looks good.
Yep,
Looks
it
great.
does. Well, then we went again. We're skimming over a few things that were here that we just. I can't do everything. We did go to Lucasfilm. We did see a clip from Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, which is about to come back. It's the second season of that show, which you have not seen the first season. You should, because it's got that. It's got some actually good, real Star Wars lore in it, but also the same quirky Lego fun that you expect from any of the Lego Star Wars or any of the Lego shows that you may have seen at some point.
Right. And although it's Lego and it's funny and, like you said, quirky, there is a little more serious tone to it in how it is telling story and things. So it really is great.
Right.
We loved it. We loved the first season. I'm looking forward to the new one.
Yeah. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I did have my slides a little bit out of order here. We did also get a little bit of Mandalorian and Grogu. As a matter of fact, we saw a nice clip that I swore was a teaser trailer that I thought was going, as soon as we walk out of here or as soon as I check social media, is going to be released to everybody. I was surprised it was not. It's ready to go. I think maybe they need to do a little more polishing on it or a little editing of it. I don't know, but really, really exciting clip from The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, it just reminded you why everybody, and ourselves included, really loved this series. And this movie looks like it's going to be a real hit.
Yeah, I think you're really going to, again, we are only judging from what we saw, which was not a lot, but what we saw, we really, really enjoyed. So we also went from there to Disney Animation Studios, and we learned a little bit more about the new movie that's coming out in fall of 2026. It's called Hexed. And we did see a little bit of the logo, which if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it there, and got some of the artwork. Apparently there's going to be, I think it's a child and his mother, I think, that are going to be kind of finding out that he has some magical powers and going to be basically exploring this land of magic. So kind of like the concept. We saw a little concept artwork, not much more than that, but it looks like it's going to be very intriguing. I'm excited to see when we hear more about that. Obviously, it's still a ways off. What's coming, though, very, very shortly is Zootopia 2. And we learned from this one that we already found out from seeing Zootopia 2, or at least a little bit of behind the scenes of Zootopia 2, that there was going to be a character called Mayor Winddancer, who hasn't been a mayor before, but he's played one on television. Well, now we know who's voicing that. It's none other than Patrick Warburton himself. Yes, Putty, Kronk. Yes, and he joined us on stage to kind of talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, it looks like a great character. And the more and more we see clips of Zootopia 2, the more and more it's just like, can't wait for that film to come out.
And obviously, as you could tell by our costumes from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, we do love Zootopia. And yes, we did see some clips. I think mostly, I'm trying to remember, I don't think we saw anything we had not seen when we were on the cruise. Matter of fact, I thought we saw more on the cruise than we saw here, but we did get clips of that. And then we did get to see the first live, and we've seen photos of what they were going to look like, but coming out on stage, Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps in their new outfits that are going to be meeting people out at Disney's Animal Kingdom park coming up here within the next several months as well. And they came out on stage to celebrate too.
Yeah, that's with the opening of Zootopia Together.
Better Together.
Better Together. Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. So what a way to start. An amazing panel. And it just got better from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it was one of those mornings where, wow, it just kept building and building and building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, we went to basically a welcome. Michael Vargo, who is the head of D23, came out and welcomed everybody to. And we learned a few things about what's to come around D23 in the very near future, including we learned that they're going to be celebrating Home Alone for its anniversary this year with Home Alone on the Road. You know, they did a Goofy movie on the road, which was a lot of fun. Well, now coming up here in the next few months, Home Alone on the Road, a special showcase of that going back to theaters, possibly near you.
Right. And if you go to the D23 website, you can find out information already about this event. And the other thing is, this is a part of the program that was being streamed live, so people who weren't able to attend were able to, get some of this D23 experience.
Right, and we're going to be going over some things. You may have already seen it because it was streaming, but we don't know exactly what was streaming. We knew some things that weren't, like the Walt Disney Studios showcase, which totally makes sense since they will be showing video clips that we couldn't video either, so they're not going to put them out there
Right.
online. But yeah, there were certain segments, and you're right, this kicked off because they want everybody to know what these events are, including there's also a new tour coming to the LA area. It's a new Walt in LA tour that's coming very, very soon. They gave away some to some people. We were not lucky enough, although we are on the wait list apparently for the chance to go on it eventually. And we'll wait and see what the dates are, but it's going to be basically visiting some of the places that Walt lived and worked and dined, including I guess lunch at a place where Walt used to enjoy eating.
Right. Yeah. So it's one of these. It's a very exclusive one time. That's not like the studios tours where they have them multiple times in the month. This is going to be a very exclusive experience.
I think they're going to be more than one though. I don't think.
Oh,
I
really?
think there's one specifically, and that one I know they were talking about. This one is going to be hosted by Becky Klein, who is the head of Walt Disney Archives. I believe there's going to be more. I don't think it's going to be as many as like you get from the studios.
Right.
But I was under the impression that there are going to be more, but maybe not. Maybe.
Well, I don't know if Becky's going to be doing.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
maybe
think there's one exclusive
from the Walt
one.
Disney Archives that are taking you on this
right.
very similar tour. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's exciting stuff. I don't think they would promote it if it wasn't going to be. If it was like only these people are going to get to go on it that are happen to be picked at random from the group here. They wouldn't have put that all out there for everybody.
Right.
So I think there's going to be more opportunities, but we'll see. We'll see. Either way, we're excited to experience it if we can when we get to Southern California. Speaking of something we're excited to experience when we can out in Southern California, they did announce when it's the D23 Ultimate Disney Fan Event. It's the D23 Expo. I'm always going to call it that. We learned when that's going to be happening next year, 2026. It's going to be August 14th through the 16th back in Anaheim, like it's been for the last several years. And they're also going to be it's going to be the same thing, both at the Anaheim Convention Center and at the Honda Center for the biggest events. Panels. Mm-hmm. Yes. They're also going to have D23 Day at Disneyland around that and D23 Day at the ballpark out at Angel Stadium as well. So lots of fun stuff that are going to be happening in and around that. Very excited. We are looking to go. After this last one where we didn't go and the FOMO level reached like painful. Critical level, we decided we're not going to miss another one for a while. So we plan on going to that. And also we learned that Jody Benson is now the D23 fan ambassador. They gave her a brand new badge, a brand new title. So she may be making more appearances at some D23 events.
It seems like it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's exciting. She's amazing.
She is amazing, and that was well deserved for her to get that. So from there we moved on to there were other panels, but I'm going to focus on some of the ones that really struck a chord with me. I apologize if it's something you wanted to hear about and we skim over, but we can't talk about everything. But Be Our Guest with Disney on Broadway, which was hosted by Susan Egan once again, of course, and Michael James Scott, who has played Aladdin on Broadway as well. And they just kind of went over a lot of the various different things that we've gone through the years of Disney on Broadway.
Yeah, and announced about a new or relaunch of Beauty and the Beast on Broadway, or a traveling show.
Yes. So our touring company of Beauty and the Beast, not on Broadway, but the touring
Right.
company. Yes, the stage performance is coming around. It may be coming to your area soon. Check your local listings because you may want to get out to that. I know we do. I'm like, oh man, we got to find out when it's coming near us because I want to see Beauty and the Beast again. But the biggest thing that we took out of this was Susan Egan mentioned that she wants us all to start filing up papers, and I think we should. We should start a signature event for this because she wants to see Tangled on Broadway. And I completely concur with that because I think Tangled will be amazing on Broadway. But more importantly, she wants to play Mother Gothel, which I am more completely on board to that. And we will get more into that a little bit later, maybe in day 2 as well.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to give something away there, but yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I am 100% behind Susan Egan, as I am on most things, but definitely on this. You should be connecting with your bestie on this.
Yeah, right. Well, and I think, the way it was presented, it almost seems like this is going to happen. It hasn't been announced yet.
Right.
That's at least my takeaway. That's what I felt like.
We can only hope. We can only hope. Anyway, start writing those letters, start signing that petition. Let's get it. Let's make it happen if it isn't already in the works. We did also get to see a panel that we were looking forward to. What You Doing with Phineas and Ferb's, Dan Povenmire, and Swampy Marsh. Basically, it was just a fun discussion about Phineas and Ferb while they were kind of drawing a lot of the characters they did. They had some sketch pads, giant sketch pads out there, and they drew 3 or 4 characters each, and it was just a fun little event.
Yeah, I think the moderator had told them to draw like 3 of their favorite characters or something like that. And they did the standard ones that you would expect. And like you said, they were talking as they were drawing and giving a little bit of history of the show.
Right. I think one of my favorite things was that first Dan drew Perry the Platypus as a platypus. And like one picture later, Swampy drew Perry the Platypus as Agent P. And then Dan went back and said, a platypus? Perry the Platypus. As you were looking at both the pictures, it brought the house down. It was so funny.
Yeah. It didn't seem like it was planned. It could have been, but if it was, they pulled it off great.
Right. It was good, but that was just a fun panel. We had not yet, not our lunch yet. We had our lunch after the Susan Egan thing, I believe is when we had our lunch. Let me go back. I'm going to look at the schedule and make sure that's not the case. Yeah. So after Broadway, we had our lunch, came back for the Dan Povenmire thing. And then we also had a panel focused on D2K, which was one of my favorite panels of the weekend. It was basically looking at the animated classic films from kind of 1999 up until the early 2000s, and some of the movies that are kind of maybe not necessarily forgotten, but if you grew up in that period, you love a lot of these films that were around during that time.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of nostalgia associated with them.
Yeah, and they had a lot of the directors and producers, including Don Hahn. They had Ron Clements out there. Kevin Lima from a Goofy movie was out there, and basically talked about a lot of these films that, maybe is some of your favorite films. If you grew up during that period, they may be some of your favorite films.
Yeah, and how they were kind of changing, that time period in the company and with animation and films, and also just how budgets were different for them at that time and how they had to kind of be very creative with being able to put out a film with maybe a little less budget than one would have expected.
Mm-hmm. But my favorite moment from that was a surprise moment at the end where they're talking about some of the great music that was involved in many of those movies. And then they're like, well, also Trash in the Camp done by NSYNC. And out comes Joey Fatone to do Trash in the Camp with the directors and producers, like holding a little shaker to make a little noise while he's out there performing Trash in the Camp. And yeah, again, everybody was cheering and clapping and having a good old time, singing along. It was fun.
Right. Yeah. It was just an extra special time that, you do get to experience in these little moments where you're not expecting something to happen, and it just does, and it makes it magical.
And it made sense because I believe he was doing the Eat to the Beat concert series out at Why Not at Epcot. Yeah. So he was in the area anyway, so why not stop in and just do a quick song for sure. So that was really cool. Following that, we had creating the happiest place on earth, which included the likes of I'm skipping over. I should have already gotten to these slides, by the way.
I
My
know,
bad.
surprised you hadn't changed. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
I'm not paying attention here, apparently. Anyway, creating the happiest place on earth with Leslie Iwerks, basically, who is the
Grant,
presenter of
right.
this. And basically, we just talked about a lot about building Disneyland. We had Don Hahn, who recently released a book all about Disneyland and the building of Disneyland. And we learned as well that there is going to be a new documentary that Leslie Iwerks, of course, the documentarian behind the Imagineering story,
Right.
the Pixar story. She's going to be releasing here very, very soon on Disney Plus. That includes some footage that they just kind of discovered recently, basically where people were actually building Disneyland in that year's time, where it went from basically an orange grove degrading the land to building this and opening up the happiest place on earth. Kind of the process and everything that was the actual work that went into building that park. You know, from Leslie Iwerks, it's going to be amazing.
Right. I was going to say she not only is a very interesting historian, but she does have access to so much information that you would never see anywhere else. And I think this is going to be really eye opening, like she said, bringing things to people's attention that has never been seen before.
Yeah, for sure. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. This was also the panel when we learned about the new update that they're going to be doing, the new reimagining of the Carousel of Progress. Now, from what we understand, it's going to stay mostly the same, although there may be some refreshing of some of the scenes involving the regular characters from the Carousel of Progress. I'm assuming they're going to revamp the last scene a little bit to kind of maybe get it up a little bit closer to the time period of the technology of the times. It's always going to be a little bit outdated, but hopefully catch that up. But the big news was that they're going to be adding that Walt, or a similar Walt animatronic to what they had at the one that's playing at Disneyland now, kind of as the intro to your journey through the Carousel of Progress, replacing what is now just kind of a voiceover with the logo of the Carousel of Progress. Now, apparently, Walt's going to be welcoming us all into the only attraction at Walt Disney World that he actually rode on.
Right. And, it was one of the attractions that was built for the New York World's Fair in 1964. And it just makes sense to have Walt come and do that introduction of a very important time in the company's history. I'm sure they'll be touching on what that was going on, but it is seeming to be such a perfectly placed opening. And, I know you said hopefully most of it will remain the same. I've read, I think it was on Disney Parks blog, where the Imagineers said, yeah, not to worry. They too cherish the foundation of what is in that Carousel of Progress, and they don't want to make so much changes that it's taking away from what that
Right. I
was.
mean, they've already changed the final scene once, from the original
Couple
Carousel
times.
of
Yeah,
Progress.
right.
Yeah. They're going to update it again, I'm sure. But
Right.
the same characters, again, that that you love from that attraction will be there.
Right, and actually that attraction has gone through changes because it had different sponsorships at different times, so they had even a different song. So it's not unusual to have a change in this attraction, and this, I think, is just bringing the history back into it.
Right. So if you know the story behind it, yes, Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow is how it started. And then GE, its sponsor, was like, you know, we don't want to be talking about tomorrow because we want to sell you goods today. So that was when now is the best time
Right.
of your life, is when that song took off. And then again, they changed it back to once they dropped the GE sponsorship, they changed it back to A Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. We'll see. Is there a new song? I hope not. I love A Great Big
Yeah,
Beautiful Tomorrow.
I think it's
We'll
gonna.
see what happens in the future. But
Yeah.
anyway, excited. Mostly because we now know the Carousel of Progress is sticking around, which is the biggest thrill, I think, for me personally.
Right. And the fact that it's going to get some changes that I think will draw more people in, because it is somewhat understandable, but disappointing when you go there and it's just, you're practically alone with maybe a handful of other people that room with you. So it's good that I think it's going to really draw some people
Yeah,
in.
definitely will. It definitely will. So very, very excited for that. Next, First of all, they handed out a bunch of popcorn to us
Yeah.
because we're about to get you very hungry. It was the what was it? The Disney Starlight, which is the parade. It's the popcorn based on the parade. They handed out boxes to everybody
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
there. And then we did the Disney What's Cooking with Disney Eats panel. They had someone I didn't know who it was, but I found him very entertaining. His name was Keith Habersberger. Apparently, he's from the Try Guys, which I think is a YouTube show, or maybe it's also been on some other channels. I
Right.
don't know. I didn't know anything about it. Maybe you know about him, but I found him very, very entertaining as we were going through a lot of the food and drinks that are coming to Disney or are currently at Disney, basically around the globe for that matter.
Right. I mean, first of all, in terms of him as a host, I did find it interesting that this time they are bringing in more, what do you call them, influencers or personalities from things like YouTube, et cetera. He was not the only one. So I thought that was interesting, but he was great. He was entertaining. And it was interesting to, where he would bring on some chefs or some mixologists who would showcase some of the things, like you said, that are coming around the globe. A lot of things like with the new lounges opening on the Disney Destiny. I know those were highlighted. So it was more than just what you see during food festival time. This is more some of the newer locations that are opening up.
Yeah, we even got to see a couple of the drinks coming to the Disney Destiny, including some things that are coming to the Haunted Mansion Parlor and Cask and Cannon, the new
Right.
pirate themed tavern that's going to be there,
And the Sanctum.
and the Sanctum, including a levitating and kind of electric to the touch drink, which looks fascinating. I love the levitation thing. We may know how that was
Yes.
done, but it is cool to see. That's for
Yes.
sure. It's just like it was cool to see when we saw it the first time. For
Right,
something
right.
else,
Yes.
but yes, it was very, very amazing. So happy for that. We also got to look into some of the concept artwork between what they're doing at the Napa Rose
Mhm.
out at the Grand California at Disneyland, and how they're kind of sprucing that up and updating that with
Right.
new, somewhat new menu, but also bringing back some of the favorite items that you know and love from that fine restaurant.
Right. And having that outdoor patio area
Right.
as well.
Which makes sense in California.
Mhm.
Why not have an outdoor space with a couple fireplaces, which they made a joke about? Like, wow, how'd you get two fireplaces in California? Which we don't know why that's kind of crazy, but
Right.
it's going to be a nice homey touch, I think.
Yeah,
And
I think it
looking
looks
forward to
the concept art looks great.
yeah, checking that out eventually. So that was a lot of fun. We finished up. We were heading into Cruisecotopia, but before that, we need to get to Boom Baby 25 years of the Emperor's New Groove. And Patrick Warburton was back on stage because, of course, he's Kronk. He was there with Don Hahn and just had a lovely conversation about the Emperor's New Groove as it's 25 years old now. We learned that Kronk was almost not in the movie. Like they couldn't figure out what to make this character. Is he a bad guy? What is he? What is his role within this? And they kind of figured him out as being this guy who is sort of bad, but really he's just kind of going along with the flow. He's not the smartest guy in the world.
Right, right. Yeah, it was really a lovely conversation because I think Mark was sharing some personal stories, one about getting the opportunity to, try out for this role and then being concerned that, hey, it might be cut, and what he brought to that role to make it more appealing and as well. And just some other fun little stories of his lifetime that were really fun to watch.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton is amazing. He's
Patrick, I
fantastic.
said Mark.
I know. It's okay. It's easy. We got a lot to pack in here. I've already made mistakes. I'm going to make more. It was fun. It was a fun panel and a great way to kick us off at the end of the day. By the way, they did come out at the end there. Michael James Scott came out and he did sing Cusco's theme song
Mhm.
to kind of end it. They finished so many before the lunch break and before the ends of the days and kicking off the days as well with so many amazing musical numbers and ways to do it. It was really, really fun. And that was the first one to start because then it was time for us to head back. We hopped on our bus, got back to our car, went to our resort, changed into our bathing suits and went out to Typhoon Lagoon for Cuscotopia night. Now I'm going to say this right off the bat. We were not there for the entirety of Cuscotopia, but we did want to experience a little bit of it. I'll tell you why we weren't there for the entirety of it in a little bit here. But Michelle, what did you think of Cuscotopia?
I thought it was fun. I thought they really did great with the theming. They had a DJ there. They had some, characters come up on stage and do some dancing with some of the music, and definitely try to encourage everybody to participate. They had a great little, what do you call it, scavenger hunt. It was you got little bingo cards, and you went around the whole. Park, or water theme park, to try to find these birds and see if you could get bingo. I mean, there wasn't really a prize for it, but it was a fun experience, and it got you walking around to be able to see the layout, catch the lay of the land of that water theme park, especially if you've never been there before. And as in all these types of D23 events, you got a lot, unlimited amount of free snacks. So with your Mickey bars, Mickey sandwiches, they had the fruit bars as well. They had bottled waters, bottled soft drinks,
Popcorn.
popcorn. Yeah. So, I mean, you definitely had your opportunity to get some refreshments while you were
As
there.
well as the usual Typhoon Lagoon stuff, the water slides, the wave pool, the lazy river, all that stuff was there. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see one of the pictures of the birds that you kind of had to try and find for that scavenger hunt / bingo card game was out there. It was not easy. One, the birds were everywhere. Two, the lighting, it was dark. It wasn't exactly super strong. It was a little difficult to find some of these birds. You had to kind of, there were a lot of similar birds that you had to really look at and find the match the right colors. I did not bring my glasses. I relied on Michelle. I'm like, is this right? I can't see it for sure. But it was fun. And like Michelle mentioned, a great way to kind of go through and check it out. Characters you mentioned, yes, they had rare characters that you don't see everywhere, including, yes, they did have Cusco and Llama Cusco, which I didn't see Llama Cusco, but we did see Cusco. They had Yzma out there. She looked great. Kronk was out there. It was a lot of fun. Again, we weren't there for the entirety, but what we did experience was a really, really good time. And I think everybody seemed to have a blast at Cuscotopia.
Yeah. And this was one of those events too that you had free towels. So it wasn't one of those situations where you would have to rent towels. The only thing that you had to rent is if you wanted to rent a locker that they had available. They had a giveaway that was a phone protector as well. That was really nice.
Like a waterproof phone protector.
Right. Which I thought was a great touch for being in this water
Makes
park.
sense. Yeah. If you're gonna be on the lazy river and take your phone with you, it was great.
Yeah.
You could buy food there outside of the snacks that were available. And of course, cocktails, they had those available for purchase as well. But if you just wanted to have popcorn and ice cream, Mickey bars and Mickey ice cream sandwiches and water or soda, you didn't need to pay for an extra thing when you were there.
Right. And they had stations all over the water park there for that. I was going to say something else, but poof.
And the DJ was fun. The DJ was fun.
DJ was really fun.
There were a couple different DJs actually. There was the main one on the beach by the wave pool, and then kind of there was like a little club area where they had like a little lighter DJ, and they also had some meet and greets with some other characters.
That's what I was going to say. I was trying to remember. Right.
Yeah, they had some of the regulars, the Fab Five, basically in their. Actually, I think it was the Fab Four. Basically in their beach garb, and ready to take pictures as well. If you wanted to do that, yeah, for sure. So it was a lot of fun, but we had so we went there, but then we had something else we needed to get to. So we were there for a while. Then we boogied on back to our resort, changed out of our bathing suits because we needed to get to the Beak Barrel. Yes, the new pirate themed tavern out at Magic Kingdom. We had a very late reservation, knowing we wanted to get to Cuscotopia, but we were able to get a reservation. So we wanted to check this out. Got there just like the parade was going. Oh no, fireworks are going on. We had to go. We could not break through the crowd to get to the.
They wouldn't let us.
We went completely the wrong way. We were such rookies. We went there the wrong way. We had to go ways around, but we got there in time to enjoy our reservation. What did you think about the Beak Barrel, Michelle?
I loved it. First of all, let me say this was day 2 of the Beak Barrel.
Right.
They had just opened the day prior, and it was really a really fun experience. When you got there, the greeters, like the picture Tom was showing, if you're watching on YouTube, just before that, there was a greeter out there was offering to take pictures of guests who were waiting for their reservation to open up. So I thought that was really nice. And definitely everybody who works there was in character and really made the experience, feel a little more authentic. It was a cool vibe for sure. They have 3 rooms. It's not a very large space, so there's not a ton of area and seating. I would compare some of it to Olga's in the sense that, like, in the bar area, and I think you pointed out once that
The
in the
map
map
room.
room,
Yeah.
it's standing to only, it's not a seat. You are seated just like at Olga's. Um, but I did love the vibes in it. Things happen that you can actually get up and move around, take pictures or videos, and the food and the drink was great.
Right. So there are a variety of different tables. There are some standing areas, like you said, the bar, the
Mhm,
map room, I think are standing only. The main room had kind of a long table where you could be seated, but you're seated with other people, as I think you might be seated in some of the larger booths with
mhm.
other people, but they did have tables for two, tables for four. We were seated in not the most ideal spot. It was kind of facing a wall with kind of a small ledge. It was high seating. It was kind of difficult to watch what was going on and eat or drink at the same time, but it was easy to mosey around and take pictures. And when something happened, get up and see when it, because things were going on, just like, think of Trader Sam's, but with a pirate theme, things go on throughout the night. And some things did happen nearby us. The drinks we tried 3 different drinks. I loved every single one
Mhm,
of them. They were
mhm.
spectacular. We had the Cook's corn griddle cakes with roasted corn and poblano peppers. I thought that was spectacular as well. As far as the drinks we had the hibiscus rum punch royale, which was
Mhm.
very good. We had the salty seas margarita, which you have to say it like that, which was very good. And yes, we did have the plunderer's punch because I needed to get that pirate skull mug, which you can see in the photo here for those of you watching on YouTube. We did get that, did get the mug, and that drink was very, very tasty as well.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite drink of all 3 that we tried. Yeah, for sure, and, the wasn't sure what that mug was gonna look like in person, but we did see it on somebody next to the table next to us was drinking from it, and we thought, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was on the
agree.
fence about it. Like the drink fascinated me. I was thinking about the drink, but I'm like, do I want to spend the extra and get the mug? And then, yeah, there's someone on another table and the server walked by with it. I'm like, oh no, that's amazing. We need to get that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we did splurge a little bit extra and get that mug. And so now we have that
Yes.
as well. But it was a great night. I love the Beacon Barrel. I'm going to be happy to go back there. The only thing I would say, now they you can never guarantee, but if you want a particular table or a particular spot within there, ask for it when you check in. Make the request and be willing to wait a little longer for it. Again, there's never a guarantee, but it never
Mhm.
hurts to ask.
Right, exactly, in this one, just as a reminder, it does have a 45-minute, window
Two
that
drink
to and 2 drink
maximum.
maximum, but in that 45 minutes, they come around a lot, and we didn't feel rushed at all.
No, we were not rushed. We were even at the end of the night. We didn't. I'm not going to say we closed down the place,
Right.
but it was closed and the room was emptying out. There were still people there
Yeah.
that even arrived after us, but we were very late and they weren't rushing us at
No,
all, not
no.
at all. So it was a lot of fun.
Mhm.
I think you're going to love it if you love Trader Sam's, if you love Oga's, and if you love Pirates of the Caribbean, you're going to love this tavern for sure.
Right, and as much as it is available for families, so it isn't an age restriction, um, I think for some kids that they probably wouldn't get into it as much, but if they really do like things like Haunted Mansion or Pirates, then I think they could capture some of the fun in that
Right.
lounge.
It was a blast. Love it. Can't wait to go back. Can't wait to go back. So once again, after all of that, it was very late again. So we needed to go back to our resort. Went back, got about 4 hours of sleep.
And I
Had
did,
to
it was
get up
midnight
early.
again. We're leaving.
Same parking plan. I ride shared over. Michelle went and parked. It worked out again. I actually think people have kind of figured it out. Got there a little earlier this time. The seating wasn't as good, but we did still find some pretty good seats nearby, just in a different place, which was good because once again, the panel started and it started with amazing musical numbers again. It was all about the villains at this point. We're going to start off with Disney villains, icons of evil, but to kick that off, here comes Susan Egan, and again, the entire crew that I named earlier from the 80s, 90s in concert, going through some of the best villains songs. And you remember I mentioned about Susan Egan wanting to play Mother Gothel? Well, she came out in the midst of this montage of songs and did a Mother Knows Best that drew a standing
Yes.
ovation, ladies and gentlemen. She would be amazing in that role.
Yeah, she would. I mean, she's such a versatile actress anyway, so it's not surprising. But yeah, and this is where again, this kind of reaffirmed to me that there's things in the works, or at least really strongly being considered of having Tangled on Broadway.
Yeah. Gosh, I hope so because
It would
we
make
love
sense.
as we all know, hashtag real men love Frozen, but also as I always say, hashtag real men love Tangled as well. I'm very, very excited. If that comes to Broadway, we may need to go to Broadway to see it because I'm very, very excited for that. Especially if Susan's there. You just contact your bestie
Yeah.
Susan, and I'm sure she'll arrange for seats for us for sure. So that was a great way to kick it off, and then we did get into the Disney villains icons of evil. That was actually, as Michelle mentioned, we were talking about some people that you weren't really expecting hosting these. And this was hosted by Michelle Carre, who apparently is part of a show called Challenge Accepted and has been doing some other things as well. Maybe you know that show. I don't know anything about her, but she was a very good host. And they brought in some Imagineers and I think to talk about some of the things that are going on with villains around the globe at various different parks and the Disney Cruise Line. Nothing groundbreaking came out of it, I don't think, but there was some interesting stuff that developed from this panel, Michelle.
Yeah, first of all, in terms of her being a moderator I thought she was spot on. I thought she did a great job of really pulling things out from the people that she was interviewing, and it seemed all very fluid and natural. But yeah, I think they, like you said, not big announcements, but just some of the things that were like in the Destiny, sharing a little bit about Cruella and some of the fun experiences you're going to have there. So maybe more that there are going to be guest experiences, not just meet and greets with characters, but actual fun experiences on the Disney Destiny.
Yeah, so I think we'll talk about not everything that was discussed there, but a couple of the key things. Aboard the Disney Destiny, we already knew that Loki was going to be making some appearances and doing some things on there. We knew that there was a Cruella themed lounge
Right.
is coming, and we learned a little bit more about that. She may be taking really more hands-on approach to that lounge. We also learned that Dr. Facilier is going to be greeting guests and maybe doing a little bit of magic, either on air or maybe some makeshift spaces
Yes.
on it.
Some
And
undisclosed
right.
locations.
There's also going to be something for Maleficent, who apparently is going to be doing some sort of saga. So, I mean, she's going to be making multiple appearances, doing some certain things. I imagine a lot of this is going to be going on in and around the atrium area. But I love it. I love I love the whole heroes villains vibe of the Destiny, and learning a little bit more about the villains, little pieces to it.
Yes.
Make me that much more excited for the Disney Destiny.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just the way it was presented was for Disney fans. This was a great way to showcase these things.
Right. As far as Villains Land, we didn't learn anything specific about particularly the actual land, but we did learn a little bit about what is going on and preparing for this, including Andreas Deha, who is the for many villains you love to hate, like Gaston, Jafar, Scar, many, many others. He's going to be heavily involved in creating the look and how these villains kind of interact with one another through the parks. And we also learned that many of the Imagineers and artists that are preparing and designing this new area that's going to be opening in the next several years in Magic Kingdom took a trip to Paris and Barcelona, looking for inspiration for kind of some of the buildings that are going to be out there. And in particular, they said they were looking at kind of areas that focused on where like nature and some of the construction, the concrete, metalwork or whatever, kind of almost magically kind of merged and melded into some of the shapes. And I think that's a fascinating way to kind of see what these buildings could become when you're walking through this new Villains Land.
Yeah, I mean, we always hear about how Imagineers do kind of these field trips to learn more details. And this was so fascinating what they did with this, because like Tom said, they actually had tour guides that were really finding these locations that had kind of that mystical appearance to them. And what it really did was show you and show, again, as a fan, seeing and appreciating the type of details that are going to be there in just the aesthetics of the land. It was so amazingly interesting.
Yeah, some of the pictures that they took to kind of is showing us where some of the what their concepts are, what they were looking at to kind of get the inspiration behind these lands, and then comparing. They put up them kind of next to some of pictures of some of the villains and how they kind of blended together. Loved it. Very very excited for this
Yeah.
land, and it's really great to know where it's coming from. Speaking of kind of things mystically appearing in the background. You may notice, for those of you watching on YouTube, that we have a cameo going on from Scott behind us. So for those of you listening to the podcast, check out the YouTube channel if you want to get some cameos from Scott, because you never know when he's going to show up in those. Anyway, it was a really, really fun panel, and I believe that panel was not streamed for everybody.
Right,
So
right, yeah.
probably didn't get to check that out, but it was a lot of fun. Speaking of a fun panel, we also got to check out this one. Part of our world, where Jody Benson interviewed the director of Little Mermaid, Ron Clements, Disney legend, 2 Disney legends on stage for that matter. And I'm not going to have a lot to say about this panel. It was wonderful, but mostly it was just nice to see the star and the director, one of the directors of this movie, back together on stage.
Yeah, I mean, these people have had decades of friendship now that started with this film, and this very pivotal film, as they said, the renaissance of Disney animation. And so it was very heartwarming to see the two of them on stage talking about this history and interacting in that way.
Yeah, so it was really cute, and I think even Jody got a little weepy, being on the stage with Ron Clements, and thanked him for everything that he did. So, which he deserves, and so does she, for that matter. So, that was fun. I do want to talk about another panel that I thought was amazing, and that was Down the Rabbit Hole, the Walt Disney Archives, where they had this was not streamed. I know it wasn't, because they wouldn't let us take until the very end.
Yeah, we couldn't even take pictures.
Our cameras out to take pictures or photos or anything. But it's basically, and then we've seen a similar one back at the 2023 D23.
Yeah, I think it's normal that they have that.
They kind of break out some quirky, different, interesting things they find in the Disney archives, fun hidden treasures. I think the most fun thing that we went through this time was the running joke of Aunt Jessie.
Yeah.
Apparently there was this relative of Walt Disney,
lives in Florida, lived in Florida.
Yeah, lived in Central Florida. And there were a lot of different things that Aunt Jessie had comments on or in appearances. And it was just kind of more of a running fun thing when they would just break out Aunt Jessie in the middle of it. But the most amazing thing that came out of this was they did a little thing on bed knobs and broomsticks. And Becky Klein was out there. She is the head of the Walt Disney Archives, and she did a little thing conjuring up something with a bed knob. Yes. And what did she conjure up? Well, it was the Lake Buena Vista Pipes and Drums Troupe, aka the Creaky Reed Pipes Band, kind of like a Creaky Reed Pipes Band. That was maybe my highlight of the entire conference, because it was the most, I think, unexpected thing that would have happened at this conference. They came out and showed up on stage.
Yeah, this was something that was pure love for fans, that they did this, that they arranged this, and it was just one of those again, stunning kind of performances where they came out on stage, they walked through the area of the conference room, and then they went out into the main lobby area, and they performed there for quite a while. So a lot of people were videotaping, but it was great. And you can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see, one, they had a dancer as well, but they were also, showing some of the scenes from the film where the music was being played as well. So it really tied it all in really beautifully. What a stunning experience.
Yeah, they were playing Portobello Road, which, if you know, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks is an important song within it. And it was great. They had a Highland dancer on stage as well. And yes, Becky Klein led them. Again, I mentioned things, when they finish you off, send you off to lunch break, they had these amazing numbers or whatever. This was one of them. They walked them off into the lobby, Becky Klein leading the way. And then they played for 10, 15, 20 minutes out there in the lobby area for you to enjoy on your way to lunch or whatever it might be, as Michelle was mentioning, playing all on bag. You know, some people don't love bagpipes. We happen to love them. They're playing all sorts of Disney songs. I know "It's a Small World" was one
Right.
of them I remember
The
hearing.
Mickey Mouse Club theme.
Right, that's right, Mickey Mouse Club theme. It was amazing. It's one of my favorite things from this.
And if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing a picture of only a portion of the band. There was a larger
It was
group.
much larger than that.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't all go on stage. Some of them stayed on the main floor of the conference room, but they all went out into the main lobby area. And yeah, it was really, like Tom said, a great way to kind of uh, finish off the morning and get you going until lunch before the afternoon was going to start.
Yeah, and by the way, this group is made mostly up of firefighters. So even more so, these
Yeah,
people who are first
very beloved.
responders
Yes.
that they're doing this on the side and doing an amazing job. I want to reach out to them
Yeah,
to
I'm
see if
glad
I
they
can
got
do it mine.
they were featured. I think that was a
Yeah,
great
it
idea.
was. Uh, Check them out. They're all over social media. Find them. I think we're gonna try and reach out to them to see if they have any availability to come on and talk about what they do on this show at some
Yeah.
point because they're amazing. But that was so fun, and that sent us off to lunch, and yeah, that was really nice. And here you can see if you're watching on YouTube a little artwork that they had there of the band, a little bit kind of behind the scenes, and you can see kind of a fire truck behind them and
Mhm.
everything. So really, really cool. Then after we came back from lunch, we went back into another great panel, which is going to strike a lot of people. Now, I'll admit, we're not the biggest Disney Channel, especially at this time period, fans. A lot of these shows were kind of when I was either too old or or too young to enjoy the Disney Channel. And there were times when I didn't actually have the Disney Channel
Right,
as
yeah.
well. So maybe this didn't strike a huge thing for me, but I know it struck a chord for a lot of people. It was Stay Tuned, you're watching the Disney Channel. It was hosted by Ashley Eckstein, who we know we love. And it had a lot of the stars from a variety of Disney Channel shows, going back all the way to like Lizzie McGuire and Good Luck Charlie, and all the way to current stuff that's on Disney Channel, like Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires. Many of the stars on stage answering questions. And it was even though we don't maybe have certain ties to it, it was a lot of fun. And I know it's, like I said, it struck a chord for a lot of people who grew up watching those shows.
Yeah, it was really interesting, what they shared in terms of their experiences and how some things were very groundbreaking for the actress who played Charlie. I mean, she was an, toddler, infant kind of age in that. And, she explained how she had did not hold a lot of memories, just some episodic memories of it, but what it did to her career and her life, even just, like she said, people know of me that I don't know, but just because of that role when I was, so young.
It was kind of funny because it was her and she played Charlie. Mia Tellerico was there. She played Charlie when she was very, very young, basically, like Michelle mentioned, toddler. And then the person who played her brother on the show, Jason Dooley or Dolly, was on there, and they showed a clip of him basically carrying her in his arms, and he was like, he even mentioned, he's like, it's so weird, because basically she's now an older teenager,
Right.
and he's an adult, seeing me carrying you in my arms.
Yes.
It's kind of beyond. So it's just kind of funny. A lot of nostalgia going on there for those of you who loved everything from, again, High School Musical, Wizards of Waverly Place, all sorts of things that were happening on there.
Yeah, definitely cool, and actually made me interested to catch, a glimpse of some of these shows on Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, they've been focusing on a lot of that. If you go on Disney Plus now, you see a lot of the focusing on throwback things. A lot of
Right.
that, some of this Disney Channel
Yes.
stuff. Maybe it's worth revisiting some of that stuff that we missed. Maybe we were just kind of off our radar
Right.
during that time in our lives. But I know, like I said, a lot of people really, really loved.
Right.
So it was a fun panel,
Yeah.
even though it didn't really strike us.
Mhm.
We still enjoyed it, and it was
Yes.
fun. Then we went to Beyond the Spires, an insider look at the Disney castles when we had some Imagineers on. And we got to look at a lot of the inspiration and what's going on with some of the Disney castles around the world as well, including this is where we learned that, yes, we got to see a little bit of the Arendelle Castle and Elsa's Castle on the North Mountain that's being installed at Disneyland Paris, and we learned when that is going to be opening up. It will be spring of 2026.
Yeah, so that was one of the announcements, at least. I mean, it wasn't people knew about the World of Frozen coming, but the opening time frame of being spring of next year was exciting to hear. And like with the other panels where they're talking about details, history, and architecture, it really was very interesting to get that behind the scenes glimpse.
There was also some fun, like they showed some of the overlays they did on the castle, like the birthday cake castle, the toilet paper Stitch castle, and how that went about coming. As a matter of fact, Stitch came on stage and they had like some toilet paper guns, and they just covered everybody on stage with toilet paper because Stitch was there. It's kind of fun. Where they talked about how a Carousel of Progress at one point they were thinking about putting a birthday cake on top of the Carousel of Progress, which I thought was fun. Wow,
Yes.
I wish I kind of did that. That was kind of fun. But they did actually tell us, this is when we found out that, yes, the Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom at the Walt Disney World Resort is going to be, at some point in the near future, going back to kind of its new old color scheme, kind of the whites, the blues, the golds, away from the pinks that we've had recently, and that's going to be happening sometime in the near future.
Yeah, it was exciting to hear that it was kind of going back again. If you're very nostalgic, and that was kind of like the original view of Cinderella's castle there. It was fun to hear that announcement.
Yeah, and I mean, I did love the pink castle, the pinkish more castle. I did enjoy it. I also first when I went to Walt Disney World, and I know you did, it was more of this color scheme, and I loved it that way too. They didn't get into why they're changing it, although I've heard some speculation from outside of it, and it's complete speculation. I do not know anything, and I don't know if this is anywhere near legitimate, but that may be because of some of the Florida weather, the sun, the rain, the wind, everything else that we get around here, that maybe it was a little more difficult keeping that pink coloring up to snuff. There, maybe it's a little easier to have some of these more muted tones, the whites, the grays, and of course there's going to have the blues and the gold, but maybe that's easier to maintain with the Florida weather. I cannot say that's true, but it makes sense if it is.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That would make sense.
Yeah. So I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Look, I like that castle. I don't care what color it is.
Right. Yeah.
I don't care if it's covered with toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm going to love that castle. And so I'm excited to see, not happy that they're going to be putting cranes and scrim up and everything for a while, but we get what we get. And it's going to be brilliant when it comes out and debuts again. Whenever that, no timeline on that, but excited for the change. Then we kind of wrapped up the day. Well, not completely wrapped up the day, but the main panels. A Goofy movie, 30 standout years. Don Hahn moderated. Bill Farmer, Jason Marsden, Kevin Lima, a lot of stuff that we saw on board our DVC members, but it's always great to see that group get together again and talk about one of our favorite movies.
Yeah, just seeing their interactions and their love and respect for each other, is wonderful. And it does seem very real. It seems like genuine caring for each other, and that was a shared experience they had in their life.
Yeah, really great conversation, fun and interesting, and really, really enjoyed it. And then we got set to wrap it all up with our Disney 80s, 90s celebration in concert, which, by the way, may be coming to a neighborhood near you. Check the listings, check online. It may be coming because this is going to be touring. We got to see a piece of it on our DVC member cruise, and now we got to see it here, and it was brilliant again, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who doesn't love the music of that time period? You see a clip here that shows the Disney afternoon. I mean, all those wonderful cartoons that are animation series that we'd come home to and watch and enjoy. And it was fun as could be hearing that music being performed.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot different from what we saw on the cruise, but it was great. Again, the one I mentioned earlier came on and did all these songs, and they had a lot of other people guest starring come on there. There were a couple extra songs that I don't believe they did on the cruise, including I believe they did Out There from Hunchback in this. They didn't do that on the Disney cruise, which made me excited because Out There was one of my favorite songs. That was great. Also, Jodie Benson came on stage, and she was on stage for our DVC member cruise, but she did a different song there, which was amazing, and was so happy to hear it and great. But for this one, she did her classic part
Mhm.
of our world, a part of your world. And again, standing ovation,
Right.
Jody Benson. It's amazing. Anytime even though she's performed it a billion times,
Yes.
it's great every single time you hear her sing that song.
Yeah, and she and some of the other princesses were out, I guess, the week before over at
Right.
Disneyland, performing. So it was amazing how they, jetted over here and did an amazing performance. Yeah.
Speaking of another Disney princess that we got to perform, we got this on the member cruise, but we also see it here. And that was Susan Egan and Jody Benson combining on a duet from, that wonderful, very sad song from Toy Story 2. Again, they're such a great, great number.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, I think you could hear a pin drop in that ballroom at the time with them singing that
Yeah.
song.
And they also had something similar to what they did on the DVC member cruise, where they did on the open road
Mhm.
from a Goofy movie. And of course, they had Bill Farmer, Jason Marsden come out there and sing that. And then, just like they did on the cruise, many of the people that were there performing or doing different talks, everything all week, came out and played the various roles from
Right.
that. When they're driving down the street and different people are chiming in from their cars out there, they came on to perform those roles, and that is so fun. And I was
Yes.
so happy to get to see that.
Yeah, it was great. It was just full of joy. That's all I can say. It's
For
full of
sure.
joy.
For sure. And they wrapped it all up, of course, with Eye to Eye, which you should do if you're talking about that time period,
Yes.
because it's an amazing song. And yes, even Max came out on stage to perform the perfect cast. It's out there. You can even see it on YouTube. You can see it there.
Yeah.
The voice of Goofy doing that. So
Yeah, it was amazing.
it was fun and a perfect way to wrap up an amazing Destination D23 weekend. We did think about going. We were planning after that to go out to Magic Kingdom to go see Disney Star, but we were honestly exhausted. We had about like 8 hours sleep between the 2 nights
Right.
before that. We've been going to events.
8 hours sleep total.
Yes. All that. It looked like it might rain. We're like, you know what? We're at Bay Lake Towers. Let's just go up to a top of the world, Villain's Lair, have a couple drinks, have some food, and then just relax and enjoy it and recap and think about what an amazing weekend it's been. And that's kind of how we wrapped up our weekend out at Destination D23.
Yeah, it was.
It was amazing, and it's been very long, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've learned some things from this.
There was one thing that we didn't mention, and
There were many things we didn't
well,
mention,
we didn't
but yes.
mention, but there was one really special moment with Jo Benson where she was talking about how she got the role of Ariel. She had been previously on Broadway in a play that ended, but in there was a song Howard Ashman had written called Disneyland.
That's right. I forgot that she did sing that
And
song.
she performed that song, and oh my God, I mean, the tears were welling up during that. It was so incredible. And coincidence that that was the song she performed before she was ever Ariel, and how it, full circle her life become.
Yeah, it was from a show called Smile. She said it didn't last for very long on Broadway. But it's something like I mentioned how kind of the audition she felt Howard was just trying to, like, well, since the show's ending, we said we'll just bring you in for some auditions.
Yes.
And she ended up landing the role. Yeah, I never heard it before. I never heard it, and then to see her sing it live was spectacular. I'm glad you brought that up, because there were so many other things that skipped my mind that amazing moment as well. Yes.
Right. I mean, one of the things when we look back at this whole experience and what this is, granted there weren't a lot of announcements. This just seemed to be the kind of event that a real fan could appreciate, and kind of like a love letter to fans, getting you brought into the behind the scenes. The expo, or now called the Ultimate Fan Event. That's really great to be able to, especially get announcements, see what's coming, get a view of some celebrities that are on some of the newer things. This just is more a lot of heart and a lot of nostalgia.
Right. If you're looking for the whiz bang, big announcements, huge things going on, you want to go to the D23 Expo. If you're looking for something super intimate, then you want to try and get on the DVC Amber Cruise. If you're looking for something in between, this is it for you. Something that'll there's something for everybody on this, and I think you'll enjoy it. It tops off at, I think they said it was about 4,000 people that were available to get tickets for this, so it's not a huge crowd, but it is a really nice cross in between those. Again, something for everybody. I really think you should think about going. Be a D23 Gold member and look into heading out there for D23, Destination D23 in 2027, which again, I assume will be that year. And once again, we'll be out of the Walt Disney World Resort. And I would also do it at Coronado Springs once again.
I mean, one of the things that is great of how they have it set up there is it's equally convenient if you are not staying on property, as long as you have a car or do ride share in, there is no real benefit in terms of transportation and parking of staying on property. And so I think that opens it up for locals to be able to have easy access to it, or people who are coming in from out of town who may not want to spend the money then on the Disney resorts. It is usually on the holiday weekend, the Labor Day weekend. So that's, although I don't think the parks were as crowded as what the holiday weekends used to be.
It's hard to say because outside the party, we didn't, in Beak Barrel, we didn't really experience it to see.
Right. But like Monday, the actual holiday was a good to go day, meaning if you had an annual pass, you didn't have to have a reservation. You could just go in. But I do think that's one of the nice things again about this. It is set up to be very convenient for people who are not staying on property.
Right. But I highly recommend it. I think you should try it. Look into it now. It'll be announced at the D23 Expo next year, maybe before that, but probably definitely at that point. But we have and hopefully we shared some interesting details that maybe you missed from some of the reporting that came from this, and maybe that might lead you into possibly thinking about coming in 2027.